It's that time of year. Fall is coming around. We have our cozy sweater on, and we need to talk about all of the books that I'm going to be absolutely full sprinting to the bookstore on release day. Let's talk about some fall book releases. I'm going to be going by month. I don't have it by specific release date. We'll do September, October, and November. Starting with September book releases. I'm not even joking you. There are so many of these books. I am foaming at the mouth. I can't wait to get my hands on them. The first one is Princess of Blood. This is by Sarah Hawley. The first book in the series was Servant of Earth. The way I devoured Servant of Earth. I do have a reading vlog for it. I'll try to remember to put it up above in a little card or down below in the description if you want to watch it. This book reignited my love for fae romantasy. I feel like we get so many fae romantasy series at this point. Servant of Earth felt really different for me, and it had a deadly competition. We get left on a massive cliffhanger in book 1, and I am so excited for book 2. Also, the audiobook for Servant of Earth, impeccable. I'm absolutely going to be immersive reading Princess of Blood, just like I did Servant of Earth. It was one of the most fun reading experiences I've had so far this year. I don't really want to get into the summary of Princess of Blood because honestly, even saying the title, I'm like, I just don't want to spoil anything. In the mortal realm, no one knows if the fae are actually a thing anymore. No one's seen them in a very long time, but they sacrifice girls to the fae. Every so often, our main character's best friend is chosen to become a sacrifice. And then she ends up finding her way into this underground world. The fae are bloodthirsty, conniving, similar to how ruthless they were in the Folk of the Air series. They have no qualms about treating mortals very, very badly, and they love tricking them into bargains. It's tough to be immortal in the fae underground world, we'll just say. These deadly competitions were one of my favorite that I've read so far this year. Sarah Hawley has a descriptive writing style, however, it's not overly descriptive, and her plot is very engaging, and we did get some romance in the first book, but I am just waiting to be knocked off my feet by the romance in the second book because I really, really feel like things are going to heat up quite a bit. The plot was definitely the main focus in the first book, so we'll see how much romance we get in book 2. So that is Princess of Blood. Let's talk about The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. This is another sequel book. It's the second book in the Crucible series. It also has to do with a deadly competition. This is a fantasy series based around mythology of Greek gods. Book 1 was the games gods play. There is a Hades sort of MMC. Our main character works as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves. It takes place in our world. We're in San Francisco, except in this book, each city has a patron god. And so we're in San Francisco, which is Zeus's patron city. But one night, she tangles with Hades, and Hades chooses our FMC to be his champion to compete in these games where the gods challenge each other to see who will dethrone Zeus, who will be the leader of the Olympians. But instead of the gods battling each other during this little crucible whole thing, they choose mortals to be their champions. I gave the first book a 3.5. I am excited for the second book because it's a series that's just so bingeable. The first book read so quickly. It's more of a silly, goofy type fantasy. I also wouldn't say it's overly romantic, but if you like deadly trials, deadly competition, I think you will enjoy it. If you enjoy a thievy, sassy FMC, I think you will enjoy it. These are books that would be really good for a readathon. It's a book that you can absolutely fly through regardless of the page number. The first book I think was just over 500 pages. It felt like it was 250. It felt like it was half that because these pages turn themselves. So did not give the summary for the second book because no spoils, but that is the summary for the first book. I can't wait to catch up with Lyra in book 2 to see what happens after everything that happened in book 1. Okay, for all of the girlies like myself who thoroughly enjoy weird girl lit fic, Mona Awad, basically one of our queens, one of our champion authors of this whole little micro genre we have created, is giving us a different perspective in the world of Bunny I'm screaming at the absolute top of my lungs. I loved Bunny. I think I've read it twice now. The first time I read it, did not understand what was going on. Second time I read it, understood that we really weren't supposed to know what was going on some of the time. It's probably my favorite weird girl lit fic. I have read almost everything that Mona Awad has published after Bunny because I'm just obsessed. But when I think of incredible dark academia mixed with weird girl, like Bunny is just that for me. So we have We Love You Bunny coming out in September. From what I understand, when We Love You Bunny opens, Sam has just published her first novel to critical acclaim. Sam was basically our main character from the first book. But at a New England stop on her book tour, her one-time frenemies, furious at the way that they've been portrayed, kidnap her. Now a captive audience, it's her, and our turn to hear the bunny's side of the story. Never did I ever think we were going to get another book in like the bunny world, for lack of a better term. The girls that Sam had to interact with were so crazy. Like the fact that we get to have a little bit more of a peek inside their brains, the bunny's brains. Don't be surprised if I read this book from cover to cover and then just sit down and do it one more time. Next up is These Eternal Bones. This is by Maggie Fern. All I know is that this is a mix between dark romance and fantasy romance, and it has vampires in it. So you had me at vampires. You also had me at dark romance. Like, please. This is a book, and it doesn't surprise me because it's dark romance. It's a book where the summary doesn't provide any clarity to what's happening. So all we know is that we don't get any names. We have a her and him situation. So we don't know the names of our FMC and MMC. But she stows away on a ship. She, offers the captain coin that she doesn't have. She's clearly trying to escape something. But the moment a storm knocks us off course, damaging the ship, I run. But there's more than meets the eye in the foggy town of Port Clyde. Its onyx lighthouse standing like a beacon or a warning. I'm picturing a dark, rainy night. I'm picturing a very creepy lighthouse. Honestly, I'm picturing the lighthouse from Phasmophobia. If I'm honest, but like make it vampire-y instead of ghosty. And then we have him. Many things can be said about eternity. Soul-binding love, squandered life, and life again by Elephantine Heartache. So I wait, trapped in this godforsaken town by a long-dead coven. I wait, unable to follow, unable to bleed every corner of the earth in search for her. This time when she finds her way back, I will keep her safe, alive, mine, even if she hates me, but what a beautifully gilded cage it will be. So I get the impression she's running away. He can't follow. He's tied to this town for whatever reason. He's giving vampire vibes. I don't know if they're both vampires. I'm intrigued. I've never read from this author before. I'm pretty sure I saw this book release on like TikTok or something. Like I got by Book Talk and no one was surprised. We're going to be reading this. We would be remiss if we did not talk about Miss Lila Sage coming out with a new series. I've never been more excited in my whole life. Lila Sage is the author who made me fall in love with cowboy romance. I read Lila Sage before I read Elsie Silver, and I was dragged down into the depths of cowboy romance. And I love Lila Sage is like my ultimate. I love her contemporary romances so much. And so Sweetwater Peak, book 1, comes out in September, right at the end of September. So many of these books are like right at the end of September. So my September and October, we're going to be reading nothing but new releases. We have Soul Searching by Lila Sage coming out. I don't even know what this is about. I marked this on my want to read immediately. I did not even read what it's about. Oh my gosh, is this supernatural? Oh my gosh. Y'all, this is a paranormal romance that has ghosts in it. That's insane. Okay, so both our FMC and MMC are trying to like escape some part of their life. Our FMC, I think her name is Collins Cartwright, against her will goes back to Sweetwater Peak, Wyoming, because there's a developer trying to buy her parents' antique shop out from under them, but she doesn't have a choice. Like she goes back to help this whole situation. What she's not telling her family is that she's kind of down on her luck and lost her job and is using this as an excuse to pick herself back up, but she doesn't want to return home. So she goes back, but she doesn't tell them that ghosts have always been her companions, but they've all recently gone silent. Just because she's returned home doesn't mean she has to stay with her parents or crash on her twin sister's couch. Lucky for her, the new-to-town upholsterer has a room for rent above his store. Unluckily, it's absolutely crawling with more ghosts who are freezing her out, and Collins hates being ignored. Brady Cooper is absolutely and totally fine. Seriously, there's no reason why he decided to uproot his life and suddenly move to Sweetwater Peak. He just needed a change of pace. At least that's what he tells himself and everyone else. When he agrees to let the elusive Collins stay in his spare room, he doesn't know that she's absolutely bonkers, constantly talking to herself and having conversations with no one, or that she looked like that. I'm not well. I did not know that this was a paranormal romance and that she talks to ghosts. What are you talking about, Lila Sage? Am I going to be even more obsessed with you than I already am? Soul Searching is the last one I have for September. And then if we move on to October, I actually have arcs for 2 of these. So we'll talk about those first. Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews. This is the author that wrote Don't Let the Forest In. Don't Let the Forest In, I read towards the beginning of this year, and it's still one of my favorite books of the whole entire year. It was also the first book that I've read by this author. It is dark and gothic, and like dark academia, LGBTQIA+, similar to how Don't Let the Forest In was. So immediately I'm already obsessed. This one is a young adult as well, and it has like some horror elements. Perfect for creepy deepy season. It's described as deeply unsettling and yet hauntingly beautiful. That's like the perfect way to describe Don't Let the Forest In as well. Like truly, if you haven't read that yet, put it on your TBR for fall. It's going to be so good. This is a tale of murder and botanical body horror. Okay. One of our main characters' name is Evander, who has lived like a ghost in the forgotten corners of Hazelthorn Estate ever since he was taken in by a guardian, a very rich guardian. For his safety, he's been given 3 rules that he has to follow. He can never leave the estate. He can never go into the gardens. And most importantly, he can never again be left alone with Byron's charming, underachieving grandson, Laurie. The last rule has been in place ever since Laurie tried to kill Evander 7 years ago, and yet somehow Evander is still obsessed with him. When the guardian suddenly dies, Evander inherits Hazelthorn's immense Gothic mansion and acres of sprawling grounds, along with the entirety of the Lennox Hall's family's vast wealth. But Evander's sure his guardian was murdered, and Laurie may be the only one who can help him find the killer before they come for Evander next. Is anyone else obsessed with tales of fantasy nights and romance? And if it's sapphic, that's even better, because ever since I've read The Night and the Moth, I'm obsessed with medieval fantasy nightcore. That's been the theme of my whole year. If there were 2 themes of the year for me, it's sapphic toxic vampires and medieval nightcore in any capacity, whether it's gay or not. We have The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri coming out in October. A heart-shattering romantasy of sapphic longing, medieval folklore, and a love that spans centuries. You already know that that's all I needed to know about this book before I was like, yeah, that's going on my want to read list. What are you talking about? A knight and a witch are fated to fall in love and doom each other over and over and over in the same tale retold over hundreds of lifetimes. I'm going to be so honest. I don't need to hear anything else. If you do, I would suggest reading the summary for this book on Goodreads or wherever you find your book summaries. I am sold by that and that alone. I've never read anything from this author, but this is one of my most anticipated releases of the whole year. This is a 5-star prediction for me, for sure. Oh my goodness. This is the same author that wrote Empire of Sand and The Jasmine Throne. Oh my gosh, I bought the ebook for Empire of Sand so long ago because I love desert fantasies, and I started it. I want to say I read the first 3 chapters, and then for whatever reason, I just completely forgot about it, and that's on me having a squirrel brain. But I can already tell you from what I remember of Empire of Sand, The writing, unreal. That just made me like level up my excitement for this book. Holy heckin' Bob. And then the final October release that I have that I'm literally over the moon about is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. Alex E. Harrow is one of my top authors of all time. I've read so much of her backlist. She tends to write books that are more historical fantasy leaning, and she has a very lush descriptive writing style. I would describe her writing style as purple prose. So if you like that level of just immersiveness and beautiful, like writing dripping in imagery, metaphors, similes, it's so lyrical, you'll think this book was singing you a song. This is another one that I didn't really read the summary for. I just saw Alex Harrow has a new book coming out in October, and I said, yeah, absolutely. I do have an arc for this one as well, so I will read this in a vlog, I promise, before release day, so that way you will know even more what to expect. But let's actually look at the summary. Oh, shut up. Remember when we were talking about medieval knightcore? This is a reluctant lady knight and a not-so-heroic historian will fight through time and space to rewrite their tragic fates and finally reveal the truths hidden beneath the greatest legend ever told. It begins where it ends, beneath a yew tree, a girl not yet a knight and a boy without a story. It is where she pulls a sword from the heartwood and becomes a legend, and it is where, more than 1,000 years later, he will find her and lose her, and find her, and lose her again. It is where a new story will be written, but whose will it be? One thing about Alex Harrow is she does like to play with time in her stories. I think of The 10,000 Doors of January, another like gorgeous, beautiful book. If you haven't read it, it's incredible. And I don't mean to scare you with like stories about time, but she does like to jump around. She likes to jump around between the past and the present, but the way that she uses that to bring so much depth to the story, like honestly, Alex Harrow has some of the most emotionally gripping, character-driven tales I've ever read. Once and Future Witches was, oh my gosh, like it made me just sob cry at the end of it. Like her books leave such a lasting imprint in my brain. And whenever I think of her writing and when I think of even just say those titles out loud, it pulls me back to the moments when I was reading her book and I was just overwhelmed with emotion. That's her writing for me. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read these arcs. It's like, I can't believe I got approved for those. We're moving on to November. November, I only have 2. And I think that we all know about these releases, but I have to mention them because I'm on the hype train. I cannot wait for these releases. We have Brimstone. I am depressed about the covers of these books. I don't like the new covers, but I'm so excited to read the story. I was a latecomer to the hype train for Quicksilver, I guess we'll phrase it. I think it was like either the last book I read in 2024 / the first book that I finished in 2025. I think it was like that in-between book for me. And I was kicking myself for not reading Quicksilver sooner. One of the best romantasies. And it has, actually, I don't want to say anything. It will be a really good one for the Burr months, especially if you enjoy certain creatures that tend to come out around October, I guess we'll say, and I'll leave it at that. But I feel like everybody knows about Quicksilver, so I'm not going to go into like the summary of the book. And then the second book in November, I'm not going to be well. Between Brimstone and Empire of Dawn, my mental state is going to be not well. These are books that I'm going to take the day off of work on their release date so that I can just sit and like binge read them. I'm not joking. Empire of Dawn is the finale book in the Empire of the Vampire series by Jay Kristoff. He is going to destroy us. He is going to emotionally devastate us. And I'm fully prepared for it, but also I'm not prepared in the slightest. If you have followed him on Instagram and have seen his updates on Empire of Dawn, this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite epic fantasy that I've ever read. The characters are not likable. The vampires are the most monstrous creatures you've ever read about in your whole life. They're not just monstrous in the fact that, yeah, like they're good looking and they're vampires and they suck blood. They go to such extreme levels of horrifying cruelty, and our main characters are the most morally gray. Like, if you think you like morally gray, you need to try J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire, because I think it will have you questioning at least some of your do I like morally gray people, because there's no easy choice for anybody in this book series. And also, none of the characters are safe. If you like an author who writes characters that have no plot armor, you should read this series. So anyways, that's the finale. I'm not going to go into the summary of this either because I can't give anything away. So those are the books that I cannot stink and wait for in fall. If we have any overlap, please let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited for any of the books that I mentioned? Or if I didn't mention one that you are super duper duper excited for, please let me know, because then I can add it to my list as well. I will catch you in the comments, and I will see you in my next one very soon, friends. Toodles!